Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Venus RX. It's Lacey. This is why I talk about topics that are on my mind right now. And I wanted to challenge that topic about men wanting submissive women and men only caring about sex. I don't feel like a lot of men only care about sex. I feel like that's just something that's socially acceptable for them to talk about. I think that's how they bond with other men. I feel like a lot of men do not want you to be submissive here because they fear that submissive women can't protect themselves, if that makes sense. A lot of men seem to, and I'm using generalizations. Of course, everybody's different and whatnot. A lot of men care a lot about respect and getting it from other people, as well as a woman that can secure respect for herself, especially in social situations. It's like men don't want you to just submit to them. Men want you to be able to correct their disrespect without getting overly emotional or abandoning them. And it can be a little exhausting when they're trying to test you in certain ways, because a lot of men might test you and then end up losing you when it comes to that disrespect. Because if a guy goes too far, that's when I'm walking away. That's when I'm going to call the Uber and pretend I got to use the bathroom and get the hell out of there. And I noticed that because a lot of guys will stalk you after you just leave, ghost them and abandon them. I got ghosties tatted on my shoulders too for a reason, because I don't be wanting to deal with those sort of tests here. But I don't feel like a lot of them truly crave submission. They don't want a woman that would bend at their will, because that's scary for a lot of men. I'm not even going to say that they necessarily want a mommy. They deep down, they don't want a woman that needs them to fight all their battles for them here. They want a woman that can be assertive and put their foot down. They don't want to be the one that's uh you gotta call them every time somebody's bothering you. And also, men feel like if the other guy got to disrespect you, why am I going to respect you for? Like, if you don't demand respect, I'm not going to respect you. If other people get to disrespect you and, use you in a certain way, I don't agree with the fact that a lot of guys think like that, but that's just how they feel. Like, they don't want to be the chump that's actually respecting you. They think so far beyond just sexual. They're actually mad scientists. They are psychologically, like, I'm not even gonna say inept. They are psychologically, I don't want to say advanced either, too, because they're like mad scientists. And I'm not gonna lie, a lot of women, they test women rather than believing what women say, because a lot of people, I guess, in general would just say anything. And I'm not gonna lie, a lot of things that women do and say can be performative. Just like I was covering in my grammar Nazis are the dumbest people I met, and a lot of women happen to be grammar Nazis, and they do that because they don't have an internal narrative in their head. A lot of things that women do and say is just to feel superior to other people, or to make people feel inferior. A lot of women can operate emotionally on a social level where they're looking for a feeling rather than actually dealing with reality. So they might write not just write, say whole narratives or things about themselves that's not true based off of insecurity here. No, I ain't never get cheated on. No, like, I'm like, yo, you lying, or I don't know what you're talking about. No, that's not me. Or if you say, like, oh, I just got back from Jamaica. This bitch never went to Jamaica, but oh, I went to Jamaica last year. You're just now going to Jamaica. Like, a lot of women, I can't say, I hate to say it, they do lie. I'm not saying as far as women who have been sexually assaulted. I do feel like a woman, like, women who go to court, they should be believed and stuff like that. If you're taking it that far, everybody, deserves a fair trial. You shouldn't pounce on like anybody who might be a victim. It's for us to really stay out of it. I don't like when men are in situations trying to say, oh, she lying. I'm like, I don't know. A lot, especially when it comes to celebrities, a lot of celebrities are crazy and they suffer from like narcissistic personality disorder. I'm like, and then they rap about what they live about. They be some bitches ain't shit. Tell my dick, get fucked out. Like, like, I'm like, it's not that hard to believe he's abusive, but I can see how some women in situations to compete with other women or to emotionally manipulate them, they might lie about something like as effed up as that. They might lie and say they were abused, their kids were abused in a sexual way to try to, I don't know, create a feeling in others or to compete with the pain of somebody who has been sexually abused before, or sometimes to gain empathy and try to use a empathetic person for emotional, I don't know, support that's not there. I don't know. Either way. So men have experienced a lot of women or noticed that a lot of women lie. Men lie too. They lie. Well, men lie differently, and they lie. Maybe they do sometimes lie for the same reasons. Maybe insecurity, or they overestimate themselves when they lie. I could lift 500 pounds, and they really can't. Like, but like, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of women lie for no reason, and this is why men become mad scientists, because they're not going to believe anything that you say. They have to experience your personality, and they try to push on markers to experience your personality all in one day. Sometimes as soon as you meet them, they don't want to hear about you being crazy. They want to see you act crazy. Like, he doesn't have the same fear as a woman does, that you might kill him, you might beat him, punch him, sexually assault him and whatnot. He wants to give you a sprinkle of disrespect and see what you do with it, because that sprinkle of disrespect is going to let him know, if you take disrespect, what is your limit? How far do you go? Do you give disrespect back? Do you get quiet? Do you, like, what do you do? How do you deal with it? How should you deal with men disrespecting you to test you? I guess the only way to pass this test, and the only women who care to pass this test, is women who actually want a boyfriend. And that's, and that's just to deal with it unemotionally, but correct them. Okay, well, listen, I don't do that. And, like, not no softness at all. I don't really do that. That's not, my thing. You can't joke about my mother. That's not funny. Like, and set that boundary when that boundary comes, and not walk away from this person. Because if you want to keep on me, I just be wanting to walk away for most of the time, because it's a headache, like, for the most part. I don't like being tested by anybody. But I feel like that's it. Let me think. Yeah, for my experience, I was just thinking, I'm like, I never really met a guy that actually just wanted sex from me. He's like, okay, she's attractive, she's kind of alternative, she's like this, she looks good. I wonder if she's smart. I wonder if she has boundaries. I wonder how far she would let me go, disrespect wise, mentally wise, well, like, that's what a lot of men seem to operate on, rather than being strictly sexually focused, which I think is interesting, even though that they might joke about sex, or and they might like sex as a topic because it's one of the few things that men and women have in common. Like, he doesn't know anything about my nails and like getting my nails done and builder gel, and he doesn't care that much about how long it took me to put my hair in. It's talking to him as opposed to talking to another woman is completely different. Like me, I don't know nothing about sports. I don't know anything about FanDuel. It's not a lot of things that, and a lot of men, they don't know anything about astrologies and don't care about their zodiac signs and whatnot. That's like one of the few topics that men and women have in common is sex. And I like culture. I like talking about, that's why I bring up culture and race when it comes to men. That's one of my favorite topics to talk about with men. Is their race, their culture, and they all have strong views on race, whether they're white, black, or indifferent or other. I'm like, I knew it. Most men are racist as fuck. They're prejudiced, like all of them. I think that's hilarious, unless they're acting it out, because they all somewhat have justifiable reasons to be prejudiced against another race. And that's when, like, it's funny because it also causes a divide between men. First it's man against women, but then once you bring up race, it becomes man against man, you know? I'm like, but me, I don't know anything about no basketball. Like, I'm a feminine woman. I know things about hair. I can have long conversations about hair, and yet, and Aries are like, and and stuff like that. But that's why they try to stick to that topic, because it's like mutual. I noticed that a lot of guys who even talk freaky, they're not that freaky. Like, they don't be in a rush. Or maybe a lot of them told me that I was intimidating. I'm like, it's not just that. I feel like you guys, especially if it's an attractive guy or mildly attractive, he could get different types of women he want. He be looking for somebody that is mentally right and mentally there. And it's like, the more and more I deal with other women, the more I realize that a lot of women can be broken too. Men, I'm not letting up on men, but of course, me, I just experience a lot of women trying. I get a lot of female support. Of course, women know it's not all women. That's usually men that say that. But like I said, some of them, they do lie. Some of them, they do try to compete with you for no reason. A lot of them are based off of emotion and based off of like what other people think about them, say about them, and they're engaged in this like trying to win sort of rhetoric here. I don't find a lot of men to be engaged in that same sort of competitive rhetoric. I'm not a pick me at all. Yeah, I know I talk about men all the time too, because they could be very sadistic and they might go too far if they feel like you're going to allow them to disrespect you. And they also lose good women testing them, and then they could become stalkers of those women here. Because I'm like, I've had so many like legit stalkers, I guess. Like, luckily they just harass me online. Some of them have tried to like just continue to talk to me. I haven't had anybody try to get too violent with me, might, like, whatever. But, and all of them were people who I left early on because they went a little too far trying to like test you. They might do little ish like mumble shit and see how you deal with that. And then you got to straight face them. Or me, I ain't gonna lie, I'm philosophical. That's what it is. I'm very philosophical. So it might take me a minute to even catch on to the fact that I am being tested. And then once I figure it out later, because my brain is full of a bunch of stuff, that's when I come to the conclusion that, oh, this guy is like mentally kind of broken too. Like, he's broken from all the other women that he met and lied to him. And now he figured out like a test to figure out if women are I don't know what he's trying to figure out. Like, you know, honestly, outside of will you leave him? Can you assert him yourself with him? Will you blame him for abuse even though he is like, you know, it's like a lot they be trying to figure out psychologically about women. And they wonder too the symbolism behind everything a woman does. That's how I know they don't just want sex. They're extremely psychological. They're going to wonder why your hair is green. It's like, why your hair green like that? Are you a liberal or something? Or are you a this or are you that? And you know, it takes a very intellectually relaxed man to just say, oh, your favorite color must be green. They legitimately wonder, why do you wear makeup? Is it because your father touched you when you were a kid and now you gotta wear makeup to hide the scars and fade away to shake up? You know, like, you know, why'd you leave the keys upon the table? You know, it's not because you wanted to. I know you, like, you know, is something mentally wrong with you? Do you have ADHD? I'm like, yo, it's just PMS week, and all of the blood is running from my brain, and it's all into my uterus right now. That's why I left the keys upon the table. It's chop suey, you know? But that's it, you guys. I'm actually going to just end it there. I hope you have a good day, night, evening. Whenever you're catching this dialogue, you know, I will be back to talk more about men.